She soon took off her blouse.
She knew when her cycle was. She knew it was easy for her to get pregnant. So there was no way that guy was getting out of the room.
Was she that irresistible?
I think some men found her beautiful and dangerously seductive.
She was very pregnant, and of course she played that to the hilt.
Were the prosecutors worried that this would generate sympathy for her?
Oh, absolutely. She calculated that this would win her sympathy in her trial. I mean, obviously, if she's pregnant, she loves children, right?
Diane Downs' trial is a national spectacle. Every day, hundreds wait in line to get a seat in this courtroom to see for themselves the mother accused of shooting her 3 small children. The mother who was now pregnant once again.
The prosecutor was really worried about, wow, this is a woman and she's pregnant. The threshold of guilt or innocence is going to be harder to prove with this woman.
The trial will later be depicted in the TV movie Small Sacrifices, starring Farrah Fawcett as Diane Downs. All of the trial's dramatic moments were depicted, including when the children's blood-soaked clothing was shown to the jury.
And here's this pair of little shorts that are this big with blood all over them and a little t-shirt. It was pretty tough not to just become a puddle.
The film shows the moment when the prosecution plays Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf, the song that played on the car's tape deck the night of the shooting.
What happened when they played it in the courtroom?
She rubbed her stomach, her unborn baby, and she bopped her leg like this, and she enjoyed it. And the jurors, I was watching them, and they would be looking at her like, it was such a freak show.
But the most dramatic moment came with the prosecution's star witness. After months of physical and emotional therapy, 9-year-old Christy Downs enters the courtroom.
What was it like to see this little girl walk into that courtroom and take the stand against her mother?
She was scared.
And she got up on the stand, and her mother's looking at her and expecting, I truly believe, that Christy was going to protect her.
Who shot you?
My mom.
It was so gripping. It was so searing. It was like you knew you would never forget what this girl said.
That was so hard for that little girl to do. And Diane kind of slumped a little bit because things hadn't turned out the way she thought they would.
When Christy was done testifying, I left and I was physically ill in the restroom.
A little girl whose testimony sealed her mother's fate. On June 17, 1984, a heavily pregnant Diane Downs is found guilty of killing 1 child and trying to kill 2 more. Witnesses in court that day could see her unborn baby kicking inside her.
And she had on her best maternity dress.
She didn't flinch, but there was an audible gasp in the courtroom.
At her sentencing hearing, Downs is diagnosed with 3 personality disorders. Mental health experts say she is narcissistic, histrionic, and antisocial. In other words, a sociopath.
Does somebody like Diane Downs know right from wrong, or does she just not care?
She does not care. A sociopath does not feel empathy.
Dr. Barbara Ziv is a forensic psychiatrist who analyzes criminal behavior.
The core feature of a sociopath is somebody who cannot identify with another person's feelings. And that she shows that so dramatically. She has no emotional connection to her kids.
A judge will sentence Downs to life in prison. Her 2 children who survived her attack will be adopted by the prosecutor who helped send their mother away forever. But what of Downs' 4th child, the baby about to be born?
I'd like to see them try to take this baby from me, and
How? Totally disconnected. Excuse me, you've just shot your 3 children. Perhaps you're not a fit mother.
In a final decision, the court rules Diane Downs is a danger to her own baby. On June 27, 1984, 10 days after her conviction, Downs is brought to this hospital from her jail cell. Her hands and feet are shackled as she is led to the maternity ward.
She was transported to the hospital and they induced her labor.
Detective Doug Welsh, whose early suspicions about Downs proved true, is one of the only witnesses to see the baby, who Downs named Amy Elizabeth.
She handed this little girl to me to hold. She didn't seem to be overly concerned about the fact the state was going to take this child from her.
Within hours, Diane Downs is back in jail. Her newborn baby smuggled out of the hospital past reporters waiting for a glimpse.
I thought that this child had a chance.
I worried about that baby. Always wondered where she went.
What do you do when you discover that your biological mother is a notorious child killer who shot your 3 half-siblings in cold blood? 4 years ago, spurred by curiosity, Becky Babcock reached out to Diane Downs in prison, her birth mother, who she now calls a monster.
What did you say in that first letter?
I don't know if you're going to believe me. You probably won't. But I believe that I may possibly be your biological daughter.
Becky also sent photographs of herself. When Downs' reply arrived, she says her heart almost popped out of her chest.
Dear Rebecca, received your letter this evening and wanted to write immediately. You look like me, same chin. Don't you hate it?
Then Becky wrote asking about her medical history, her relatives, and most importantly, about her biological father. Who was he? Where was he?
I was hoping that maybe I could find him and he would be sane.
But Diane's letter provided no answers, just a baffling mess of confusing details.
And it's shocking how quickly they go from
Sane to completely insane.
off the charts.
Yes.
Pages and pages and pages of rambling and ranting.
Right.
With each subsequent letter, 6 in all, Downs' paranoia and psychosis comes into full view.
Just know that someone very powerful has been watching over you all your life for me.
Did that scare you?
Terrified me. She had told me that someone was trying to kill me.
Even more alarming, Diane writes, if you love your little boy, you'll take him far away from there.
It made me question, what was I thinking? Why in the world did I contact this woman? And at that point, I wrote her a letter and I said, I'm sorry. Please stop writing me.
Becky says she decided she didn't want a murderer to love her, and by Downs' last letter, it was clear that the feeling was mutual.
I don't know who you are, Rebecca, but you aren't our daughter.
The letters leave Becky shaken, her identity shattered. Was she the daughter of loving adoptive parents or the product of a madwoman?
I wish I was born of my real parents, my adoptive parents. But I was born of a child killer. People judge me for that.
There will always be skeptics who will search for the evil gene in Becky, but experts we spoke to all agree that Becky's nurturing childhood, growing up in a loving home and learning right from wrong, was enough to overcome any inherited traits from her sociopathic mother.
She has demonstrated that core
Empathy.
ability to empathize. She should take comfort in the fact that she does care.
It's what Diane Downs doesn't do.
That takes her and puts her in a completely different category of human being than her mother.
It's really good to see you again.
Thanks.
But even today, Becky continues intensive counseling with her therapist to exorcise the shadow Diane Downs has cast over her life.
You've changed immensely in these months. You sure have, hon.
I'm really working on it.
I love your mom.
Your son is 7.
Yes.
Can you fathom hurting your child the way your mother hurt her children?
Never. Pinky promise? Mothers are put on this earth to take care of their children. It's our job. Man? Any kind of harm caused upon him just destroys me.
In the last few months, Becky has come out of hiding to tell her story. First, in this month's Glamour magazine. She says she wants to help other children whose parents have committed heinous crimes, and she's trying to piece together her past.
Hi.
Hi, Becky. I'm so glad to meet you.
Her first stop, famous crime writer Ann Rule, who made her mother infamous in her book Small Sacrifices.
I was suspicious, I'll admit, when I was called to talk with you, and I said, "Are you sure it's Diane's daughter?"
I brought my original birth certificate actually
Oh,
as well.
good. Oh, good. I said, "I'll know when I see her
Yeah.
if she is."
Yeah, when I got that, just seeing her signature, it
Yep.
sent
Oh, yeah.
chills up my
That's
spine.
her, yep.
And she had named it Amy Elizabeth Downs.
But she's really no part of you. I mean, I can see. I'm glad. All she did was give you life, and I think you are what you're raised to be, and you're obviously a nice person.
And that's kind of why I'm doing all this, is I want
Yeah.
to prove to people, it doesn't matter where you come from.
It doesn't
You know,
matter.
it's just you can be who you choose to be.
Let everybody get started.
For now, Becky is proving that she is not her mother. The high school dropout is now a straight-A college student with a lofty goal.
I'd always wanted to be a doctor my whole life.
What kind of medicine do you hope to practice?
I would like to deliver babies.
And now when Christian looks at you, what does he think of Mommy?
He's proud.
Okay, slow down.
I look in his eyes and I'm important to him, and I know that I'm doing right.
Just want to tell you I'm proud of you, sweetie. Good job. I love you too, honey.
And now when you watch her as a mother?
I'm just amazed at her. She's come a long way. Come a long way.
Okay, here we go.
One day, Becky will have to tell her son about the woman who gave birth to her, the story of his bloodline. Until then, the long rambling letters from Downs are locked away, like the woman herself.
I have spent the past 25 years trying to find answers as opposed to learning how to cut hair or repair air conditioning units.
In 2008, Downs had her first parole hearing. Her hair grayer, her face heavier, her claims of innocence unchanged.
All I know is that I did not murder my children, and 1 year after my uncle was murdered, my children and I were attacked for no reason at all.
Her story of that night, stranger than ever.
Why is my uncle and his contact from the State Department and their Israeli contact in this book?
Downs's request for parole was denied.
There's never a dull moment with Diane Downs. She's gotten worse. Whatever mental disease and defect she has is really become more acute.
Do you think somebody like Diane Downs ever felt a moment of regret?
That she got caught.
She has never confessed, and I don't think Diane will ever give it up.
She's not going anywhere. She'll be there forever.
On this road 26 years ago, madness shot out from the barrel of a gun. 3 children fell victim to their murderous mother. And everything changed for the people touched by this unspeakable crime.
There were no winners in this case, and so if this young lady is a shining star in an otherwise horrible event, then I think that's wonderful.
So for all those people who followed that trial and always wondered whatever happened to the baby, what would you say?
Being taken away from her was the best thing that could have ever happened. It's been quite a journey. There's been many ups and downs, and I fell off the path for a while, but I am going to do great things.
From all reports, Diane Downs' 2 other surviving children are leading normal, happy lives. Several people close to the case tell us that Christy finished college, married, and is now a mother herself. Danny is a computer whiz and also graduated from college. He is still paralyzed from the bullet fired by his own mother.